Hi everyone, and welcome to the Girl Guides WA 10 to 13-year-old webinar. We have a great evening planned for you tonight. We have a mental health panel coming along. We have Colin Pettit, sorry Colin, I apologise if I said your surname wrong, who is the Commissioner for Children and Young People. He's going to come along and have a chat to us a little bit about what he does. And we also hopefully have a couple of representatives from Headspace. My name's Gecko, for those that haven't been to our webinar before, and my co-host.
Hi everyone, I'm Tigerlily. For those of you that haven't been before, it's lovely to meet you. And also I'd like to say it's fun to have been your, Gecko and I have had fun being your guide leaders for the last beginning of term. It's been great. Gecko, you're muted.
Thank you. In a little while, girls, you may find that our chat may become disabled. It may continue, but we will see how we go. If it does, do not worry, we will come back to it later on in the webinar. So I'm going to see if I can, if Colin is around, he's on our screen. I'm going to see if we can get him up so you guys can meet him and see who he is, and he can explain a little bit about who he is and what he does. Colin, are you there at all? We can see you, you've joined our webinar, but we're unable to see you, and we can see you're muted. We're just trying, girls, to unmute. Oh, there we go. Hi, Colin, are you there? Tiger Lily, would you like to keep going with that? I'll just share the screen about the Commissioner while you try that. Thanks.
Okay, no worries.
So while we're waiting, we've obviously got a bit of technical difficulty. While we're doing that, I'm going to share my screen with you and show you the website for Commissioner. Hopefully, girls, you can all see that. So there is a website for the Commissioner for Children and Young People, and you can see here it's got a lot of information about who they are and what they do. So does anybody know who the Commissioner is and what they do? Does anybody want to answer that in chat? Anybody got any ideas? Don't know? No, you don't know? Hopefully we can get hold of Colin and he can join in. And Colin, I'm just going to try and unmute you one more time. Oh. Okay, so girls, we might actually start with our activity instead of starting with our panelists, because obviously we might have a bit of technicality getting hold of them on our screens today. So hopefully you all have a jar, an empty jar, could be a jam jar or something like that. Okay, so with that jam jar or empty jar, hopefully you have some paper and you have a pen. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to make, I suppose, it's up to you what you want to call it, an affirmation jar, a memory jar, something to help you along when the going gets tough. So sometimes, you know, when things aren't quite going to plan, You know, it's a lovely thing that you can pull yourself out that will pick you up and make you feel great about yourself again. So what I want you to do is either with your fingers or if you have scissors handy, is cut a strip of paper. I haven't got any scissors. I'm just going to rip straight along some paper from one side to the other side.
No, it doesn't have to be a jar. I've actually got a shoebox that I keep all my things in.
Yeah. So maybe.
Okay, so
Colin, we can hear you. Oh. Colin, we just heard you then.
Hello.
Hello.
I really apologise. I'm not sure what's happening this end. We keep getting told our internet connection's not strong enough.
Well, it seems to be strong enough for actual audio, so that's great.
Great.
So, Colin, we'll jump in with you. Girls, we're going to hold on to your piece of paper and we will get back to that. We're going to introduce Colin, who I sort of introduced earlier before. And Colin, if you're happy to just talk to the girls possibly over and just let me know, I'm going to try do my best with the slides that you sent through as well.
No, that'll be fantastic. And thanks so much for that. I can't see the slides, but that's okay. I know I've got hard copies here and I can talk to them from there. Do you have other people coming on as panellists?
Yes, we do.
You do? Okay, yes. Not a problem. So I'll be relatively quick. But first of all, can I say thanks so much for inviting me to this. And I see you've got over 30 people online. So I'm really pleased that people have given up their time. Thanks so much again. A little bit about us. I'm the Commissioner for Children and Young People. Look after the interests of children and young people in this state under the age of 18. And so I know you've got maybe 10 to 13-year-olds today, but I generally have an interest in every child under the age of 18 and have to represent them as best I can in a whole range of ways. And so I'm not sure if you've got the first slide up, which goes to roughly the number of children in the state.
We do.
Ah, fantastic. I can't see the sense. I'm just going to guess that you've got it. You can see there that we have nearly 600,000 people who are under the age of 18 in Western Australia. That moves a little bit, people moving in and out of the state, but it's around that figure. And it grows by nearly 20 or 30,000 every year. I have an active parliament, and so I have to report to parliament, not to any politician. Not that that'll mean much to the young people, but you'll see in there what I have to make sure is that under the UN Convention for the Rights of All Children, I have to make sure that your voice is heard, that wherever possible you can be as healthy as you can possibly be safe wherever you are, reach your potential, and be welcomed as a really important person in our community. And that's demonstrated through groups like the Guides, where when you're part of that group, you really demonstrate how valuable you are to the community. And if we get it all right, then hopefully your generation will be a little bit better than the last generation, who will be a little bit better than the one before. So that's my job. How do we do that? We actually start to talk to children and young people from all around the state on a range of issues. And many of them are pretty relevant to right now, many of them right on the topic around mental health and wellbeing of people, particularly young people. I'll give you an example. 3 years ago, we did a survey of 1,800 young people across years 3 to 12 and asked them what they thought about their school and what stopped them from learning, what helped them to learn. We gathered up all that information, and there were thousands and thousands of responses in amongst the 1,800. And we put it in a report, we took it to Parliament and also took it to the Education Department, and they are changing things as a result. More recently, we did a speaking out survey, which I'll come to, and the most recent of things we've done is around COVID. When COVID first started, we sent out as much information as we could to a range of people, including guides and others, and asked, could young people tell us how they were feeling? And we've had well over 1,000 young people from as far south of Albany and as far north as Kununurra tell us how they're feeling. We gathered up all that information. We then put it into and looked at what the themes were. We put it into a document sent it to the Premier, who used it as part of his approach to his response to COVID. We know that because I have a letter saying he's done that. But also we went to the Education Department and said, this is what young people have said, this is how they're feeling, and this is how we think you can help them. And we know that that document was sent to every school, whether it be a Catholic school, independent school or a government school. And we know many of our schools have sent it on to parents, and we've had lots and lots of feedback to say, this has been really helpful, but it was only helpful because it was the voice of young people who made that noise. So if I move to the next slide, because it does talk a lot about female students, and given the guides are predominantly talking about female issues, and particularly about wellbeing and particularly mental health. When we did the survey just recently we called it a speaking out survey, we asked 5,000 young people from years 4 to year 12 from across the state how they were feeling, what were they, what made them feel well, what made them feel unwell, how can we help, etc. And I've got to say, the responses were mind-blowing. We were really, really surprised by a number of the responses, and we formed a report and given that to Parliament. And the Premier again has written back and said he's using that fairly extensively. But what was really a standout was that the girls in particular were very clever at telling us how they felt, more so than the boys. But in doing that, it showed up that the girls had a lot more issues that weren't being addressed across our society compared to a lot of others. Excuse me. First one there is mental health. And we were surprised with a number of young people, particularly secondary girls, and I know many of you are not secondary, but are not far away from being secondary. We're really concerned about their mental health. And when we dug down, one of the problems was mobile phones. Girls were too attached to their mobile phones. That's what they told us, not what we told them. And in fact, 1 in 5 said they didn't get enough sleep or didn't eat because they were too busy looking at their mobile phones. So this is the next slide from the one you've got. I've just seen it come up on screen, that's it. And so mental health was a really major issue for young girls in particular, and we've taken those steps to talk to the Mental Health Commissioner and Health Department and see what we can do to work through those. There are a number of other issues that girls nominated more so than boys as being a problem, and they're all things that we can hopefully start to address collectively, and you need to be part of the solution. So personal safety, girls didn't feel safe, about 1 in 3 girls didn't feel safe in their home, but less so in their community. And so we need to find ways to help young females feel more comfortable in their community, and guides can play a pretty big role in that place, because you have the voice in your community to actually start to engage people about how do you make it safer. Self-perception of girls is really important. Many of the girls didn't have a great perception of themselves, and we need to start to look at why is that so. In fact, nearly double the amount of girls compared to boys didn't feel good about themselves. So we need to find out what's happening there, and how can we as friends of your friends make a big difference in that. And also relationships and independence were there. Moving on to that next slide where you've got help and support. This is really where you can help, and I know you're talking to people like Headspace in a moment, and this is where you can help in your community. It said there that almost a third or 30% of year 7 to 12 students, similarly younger students, said they didn't know where to go to get mental health, help for mental health. And 50% said they didn't know where to go to get such help in their local area. It's a pretty easy way to fix this. Let's find a way in your local area to start talking to your friends about how do you get help. Where are some resources for you to get help? A lot of young women in particular indicated that they felt the best place they got help was either from their friends, from their internet, or from their friend's mother, if they like their friends. So we need to actually find a better way of getting good information out. You can help by encouraging people to go and talk to a trusted adult and make sure that they're heard. To help that, today I've released a very quick cartoon video to help children about the age of 8 to 14 with some messages at the end of who to find help from, including Headspace and Beyond Blue and others. So hopefully that will help, and you may be able to use that. It'll be on my website if you wish to. If I go to the next slide, and I apologise, I'm rushing through because I know you've got such a busy agenda. One of the things when COVID came along, I asked young people, if you're worried about things, what helps you to stay positive? Because we know mental health, if you have a positive attitude, mental health issues actually diminish. So having a positive attitude, keeping a positive attitude is really important. These 4 things are just representative of what young females in particular told me what they like to do to keep themselves positive. We've got hundreds of these, and we've released them to a whole range of people, in particular the health department and others, and the education department, to see if we can use the voice of young people to say these are the things that we should be encouraging both in the home, in our communities, and with our friends. And so we've done that pretty widely. And I'm just going to move to the very next and last slide, if I can. We still have on our website, if you go to that website, CCYP, you'll see a whole range of resources that can help you, can help mums, dads, schools, etc. Go talk about how you're feeling about the coronavirus and more broadly beyond the coronavirus. What we've been able to do is, because we've caught the noise of over 1,000 young people, we've got to put all that into quite significant information back to those people who are making decisions. So what I'd ask you to do is, if you and your friends would like, I'd love you to jump online at some point and respond to that question. Because what you tell me, I actually put into documents as much as I can and tell people this is what young people are feeling right now. And if we don't get your voice, it's very hard to actually encourage others to put you in the mix of how we address this. So I'll give you an example and then I'll stop. The example I have is that when coronavirus hit, we had a lot of adult solutions to a lot of things. And the only adult solution that came for supporting young people was, when we thought it was appropriate, we closed schools and said we were teaching online. We didn't actually ask young people, how would you like to be taught? How can we help you be taught? Is there a better way of doing it? Can we help you get through this? And what are your issues? So we are really keen to get your voice. If we can hear your voice about what's happening to you, good and bad, we can actually relay that back to decision makers, and future decisions can be shaped using the voice of children and young people. I'm really sorry I've rushed through that. I just wanted to make sure I got through a whole heap of stuff. I know you probably have some questions, so I'm more than happy to take some questions if that's possible.
Excuse me, Colin, we can actually see your desk now.
Oh,
we have a video of your desk.
It's probably you didn't want to see that, but that's okay.
Well, I just thought I'd let you know.
Thank you very much.
Colin, are you happy for us to, are you happy to give us 5 minutes to answer some questions? Is that
Absolutely.
okay? Yep. Absolutely. So girls, if you've got any questions, if you want to pop your hands up, you can, Tigerlily will unmute some of you to ask your questions. Or if you prefer, you could type them into Q&A. Now, girls, if you don't get your questions answered in the next 5 minutes, please type them into Q&A and we will send them to Colin and his office, and they have kindly said that they will get back to us with your answers.
Great.
So thanks, Colin. Tigerlily, over to you.
Okay, Edie D, going to, you're unmuted, Edie, so you're open. Hello.
G'day, Edie. There you go.
I want to ask Colin, how does it make you feel when you talk to kids about mental health?
About mental health, yeah, it's interesting. It's a great question. 2 things, Edie. Sometimes I am quite sad that young people feel the way they do, but at least they've been brave enough to speak out to someone. So I think that's really, really important. But the second one is that...
yeah, it really makes me personally really upset, and I think that it especially impacts on young people.
Yeah, I agree with you, Edie, but I'm also really, really surprised how strong young people are to speak up and actually seek help, particularly young girls. So I want you to encourage you to keep doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edie. Okay, Charlton N, you are unmuted. Charlton, hello?
Tigerlily, you
I did. Yep, that's right. Where did you go? Charlton, are you there? No, I've lost you. Megan S.
Yes.
Hello, you're unmuted. What is your question for Colin?
My question for Colin is, how many boys and girls did you survey in total?
Oh, hello, Megan. That's a great question. We surveyed almost 5,000 young people, almost exactly half boys and girls, and they were right across the state. So they were randomly selected. So what we've got is the first time in WA, the voice of children and young people in a way that has never been collected, and it's such a powerful document. If you have a look at it online, you'll see there's so many bits of information, and we've been able to talk to a whole range of stakeholders and decision makers, and they're now using it and quoting some of what children have said. So it's a really powerful document because it's your voice.
Great, thank you. Okay. Okay, Ava C, you're unmuted. Ava C. Ava, hello, do you have a question for Colin? No.
I think we've got time for two more, Tigerlily, if we can find two more.
Okay. Bernadette A.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. My question is that does Colin have any children that feel like they don't know where to go?
Oh, what a great question, Bernadette. There are hundreds and hundreds of young people who are a bit confused about where to go because there's either so much information out there they don't know which one to follow, or there's not enough information. So yes, the answer is yes, and that's why we produced the video, which I'm more than happy to send down to you. But it is online. It went live today because we wanted to at least say, here are some first ports of call that you should go to. But if you're talking to your friend, Bernadette, and they're not certain, the best advice you can give them is there an adult you can trust? And if there's an adult you can trust, can I help you go and talk to that adult?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bernadette.
Have you got time for one more, Colin?
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you. So this will be the last one, girls. And then if you don't get picked, can you just pop your questions into Q&A and we'll send them off to get answered for you.
Okay, Ava, here's your second chance.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. So my question is, do you think gender equality is important?
Oh, Ava, you have hit on one of the most hard topics of all time, and it's one that's really passionate to me. I have my oldest child is a female, and I watch every day. She's much older than you guys. Every day, her struggle in a society that we say is equal. So, yes, I think it's extremely important, and I think the only way we're going to overcome it is if we all start to tackle it when we see there's a problem.
Great. Good question, Ava. Thank you very much. All right, we're done with the questions. Gecko, over to you.
Thank you, Colin, so much. We really appreciate your time. We realise you must be quite busy, and we do appreciate you giving us your time here today on behalf of Girl Guides WA, all the participants and all the girls really across WA. Thank you very much, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to get the link to your website and your question put up on our Girl Guides WA Facebook page and potentially out to our members across the state.
My pleasure, and thanks so much for the invitation. And can I just thank every one of the young people involved, because you being part of a group, particularly guides, really important to show leadership. So thank you for that, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time. Thanks again.
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Okay, so girls, if you have got any other questions for Colin, please type them into Q&A and we will send them off to his office and we will get you a response. I believe we have Andrew and Natalie here from Headspace that would like to have a chat to you girls too about mental health and what they can offer. Here they are.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you. I'm glad we got that sorted. So welcome to our webinar. We've just had, I'm not sure if you're able to hear or not, we just had Colin have a chat to the girls. Obviously he's there in the screen now, we can see him. I'm going to hand over to you and let you explain a bit about who you are and what you do. Thanks.
I'm just going to wave to Colin via screen because it's been a long time since I've seen Colin. But look, thank you, Gecko and Tigerlily, for having us today along to talk, and we're really pleased that you use question and answer because we're very happy to answer lots and lots of questions. My name's Andrew. I'm the manager of Headspace Albany. My background is that I'm a doctor and I've worked in mental health and in youth mental health pretty much for most of my professional career. And I'll hand over to Natalie to introduce herself.
Yeah, so my name's Natalie and I work here as the Community Engagement Officer, which means I talk a lot, and I mostly talk in schools and to other groups of young people all about mental health, about where to go when they're not sure where to go for their mental health, and how to look after friends as well, because we know especially for teenagers at high school that their friends are their world. And so being a really good friend is knowing when you can support them, when you can support them to come into Headspace, and how you can help them out and be the best friend that you can be.
And just before we start, I guess we wanted to acknowledge that sometimes talking about mental health stuff can make you feel a bit upset, or if you're struggling with mental health stuff yourself, or you know one of your friends is, or one of your family members is, and you really need to talk to someone, we will give you information about places you can go to get some help. But another really simple thing is, if you can't remember who to turn to or whatever, if you just go into Google and type "I need help now," the first thing that will pop up is a whole list of emergency, and they're all mental health contacts. So that's a really useful thing to remember. You don't need to know names and numbers of places to go to. "I need help now" in Google is a really useful thing. But I mean, we're happy to take questions throughout, but I guess a little bit about Headspace. So hopefully people have heard of Headspace before. It does sound like, from what Colin was saying though, there are lots of young people who don't know where to go to for help. But Headspace is a national organisation, so we exist across Australia, and there are 13 Headspace centres around Australia, and more Headspace centres popping up all of the time. And we work with 12 to 25-year-olds. And so I know that for some of you as a 10 to 13-year-old age group might think, well, I'm too young. But we also know, if you're not within our age group, where help is available locally, depending on where Headspace centres are. There's also a really good online resource called eHeadspace that you can turn to as well. So if you don't live near a Headspace centre, you can call or you can chat online and get help from a mental health professional. Some of the messages coming up are really good in that we know that it is normal to feel sad. It is normal to go through a tough time. It is normal, especially at the moment with things like coronavirus and isolation and all the uncertainty. I know, for example, the guides haven't been able to meet. Does make it really difficult to feel like everything's normal, and a lot of what we're doing at the moment is maybe pretending that everything feels normal when maybe it doesn't, and that's the same for adults as much as it is for young people. So it's okay to feel down, and I guess what we in Headspace talk about, and what most mental health professionals will talk about, is that, and someone's just popped up, their trip to Canberra was cancelled. We had a trip to Melbourne where we were going to present a paper that got cancelled as well. So we share your pain, and it really sucks. But what we, I guess, get worried about is when feeling down or feeling sad or feeling anxious or worried about something goes on for so long that it starts to dominate everything that you're doing in life. It starts to get the better of you and knocks you off the tracks of living the kind of life and doing the kind of things you normally like to do, or the kind of things that you enjoy. When they stop being enjoyable, then that's the time really to think about wanting to get some help.
And like Andrew mentioned, the website is fantastic, and obviously you guys are all online, so you can access it after we have a chat today, which is great. So even if you don't fall in our age category of 12 to 25, the information on the website is still really relevant. So you can go to the website. Do you want to share the screen what that looks like? And it's a really accessible website, hopefully, that you can type into the search bar anything that you're thinking about or want a bit of extra help with. So that could be bullying, that could be anxiety, and that could be how do I help a friend? And you'll get a range of different answers, and you will sometimes see other young people's stories, information from local centres. Can you see? Yep, cool. So there's lots of different information there about bullying from all different sides of it. One there, I think I have been a bully, because we know that it's not just people experiencing bullying as the victim, but also people who want help to not be a bully. You know, for parents as well, to get on there and get some information also. So you can use that search bar for anything, and you'll be able to get some up-to-date quality information. Because, you know, if you go to Google and you type in anxiety, you're going to get millions of answers. And of those millions of answers, you can't always guarantee that they're correct or up to date or relevant for you and your situation. So you know that if you go to the Headspace website, you're getting stuff that's youth relevant, that has been reviewed by lots of doctors to make sure it is safe and it's appropriate information. So you can trust the info there.
It's also been reviewed by young people. So Headspace, each centre and nationally, has a group of young people that we work with when we produce information like fact sheets or things on the website that we will say, hey, is this relevant? Does this make sense? And is it written in a language that you can understand? So that's really important. So young people are involved in every step of the way.
Yeah.
For those of you joining in from right around WA, the easiest thing is just to go to our website headspace.org.au, and up the top here, click Find a Centre, and then that will take you to a map and you can see where the nearest centres are to you. So Albany down here, which is where we are, it will then take you through to the little part of the website that we control. So you can find out about your local centre, what our opening hours are and things like that. So that's a really useful way to know what's going on. And at the top of the website, also emergency assistance. So if you're feeling bad and it's after hours, and we know that for lots of young people, the hardest time of day is sort of after school finishes and after the after school activities finish. And often it's sort of 9 o'clock to sometimes 1 or 2 in the morning when young people are feeling isolated and alone and just want someone to talk to about how they're feeling. And there are options available there, including e-Headspace, which is a phone and online chat option.
And one of the really important things about Headspace is that it's free. So every single thing that we do here, you won't have to pay for it. You don't have to be on a healthcare card or any sorts of cards to access our service, because we know that mental health affects everybody. So you don't need to show any cards or anything like that when you come in. If you do want to see the doctor here, so we have doctors here Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday in Albany. All Headspace centres will have a doctor somewhere. Then you just need to bring a Medicare card or a Medicare card number to see the doctor, but everything else you don't have to worry about bringing paperwork or anything like that for. And to make an appointment at a Headspace centre, which is the same at all Headspace centres, you can walk in the door, you can phone up to make the appointment. You don't need to have a referral from anywhere else. So when maybe you've had something like a blood test done, you need to go and see your doctor first, they write a referral, then off you go and get your blood test done. With Headspace, you don't need a referral at all. So you can walk in the door and say, I'd like an appointment, please. And that's pretty much as simple as it gets. And then we can, work out a time that works for you and have you come and have a chat about what's going on.
You might also know that one of your friends is going through a really tough time. And like Colin said before, we know that young people maybe don't know where to ask for the right professional help, but they do talk to friends. And we also, like Colin said, know that most young people talk to their friends about when they're going through a tough time, and would really agree with what Colin said about sometimes the strongest thing you can do as a friend is to say, can I help you get help? Okay. So that might be coming into Headspace Centre with a friend who's going through a tough time, because sometimes the hardest thing to do is to ask that first time, to say, hey, I need help, can someone help me here? Sometimes people will feel comfortable talking to their family. Sometimes people might not want to know, might not want their family to know that they're going through a tough time, or might just not have the words to be able to say it, or be worried that family might blame them for how they're feeling, or are unsure how they'll react. So that's something that we can help too, is actually helping young people have those conversations with young people who are struggling. But knowing that being there for friends when friends are going through a tough time, and you might actually notice a change in your friends before they notice a change in themselves. When they're feeling down or feeling teary, and it's interfering with things like sleep and appetite and energy levels and enjoyment. You know, someone who normally comes to guides and is really active and chatty, you might notice is just not quite themselves. And so sometimes being around for friends and saying, hey, I'm here if you want to talk. If you ever want someone to listen to you, I'm here. If you ever want someone to come with you to get help, that's a really powerful thing to do as well.
Thanks. Sorry, I didn't know if I cut you off there. Are you ready? Would you like to take some questions if we have some?
Certainly.
Yeah, very happy to take questions. I guess a couple of things about questions. If it's really personal information, chat might not be the best place to share it. Try not to use names as well. So, you know, if you're worried about a friend, say I've got a friend, rather than, you know, my friend Natalie is really going through a tough time. So don't use names. You know, keep it safe, keep it confidential, and we'll answer where we can. But yeah, if there are particular topics, particular things you'd like us to answer for you, we really
We've got a couple of hands raised. So if we unmute them, are you happy to talk to them?
Sure.
Excellent. Well, we'll give it a go.
All right. Are you going to do this one?
Over to you.
Over to me? All right. Edie, I've opened you up. You can speak. What's your question?
So,
Edie.
do you chat to kids who get child abused?
Yes, we do. We talk to young people who've had all sorts of different backgrounds, but we're certainly happy to talk to young people who've been through abusive situations. Sometimes we might also involve other professionals who we think might be better experts in particular areas though. So not every Headspace centre will say, hey, come in and talk to someone. They might also say, this is maybe a better place to talk to, and maybe we can help you link in there.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Edie?
Thank you, Edie. Oh, Ava C. You're unmuted. Hi,
Can
Ava.
you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So how do you feel like if you can't answer a question and then that was like a really hard question for that person and then you feel bad afterwards for not doing that?
Good question, because I know I don't know the answer to everything. Natalie knows the answers to a lot of things, and sometimes you need to put our minds together. But I think what's really important is that if someone asks you a question, it's really important to be honest if you don't know the answer and say maybe, hey, I can't answer that now, but maybe I can help find someone who does know the answer, or maybe I can go away and do some research and get back to you, would be how I would normally answer that question.
Thank you.
Before you do the next one, Tigerlily, sorry, we have a bit of a thing going through our chat at the moment, and it seems to be, you know, girls are a little bit concerned about friends that, you know, may be saying one thing to their face and another thing. Any suggestions on how they can sort of deal with that?
Fake friends I can see coming up there. This is, if it helps to know, it's really common that lots of young people will experience this. There's no easy path through this. This is a part of healthy communication as you're growing up and learning how to communicate, how to read other people. Sometimes those experiences of having your trust broken makes you build some more resilience and more confidence when it comes to building friendships. But generally, I would say that instinct that you have when you feel uncomfortable, or maybe this person isn't being honest or direct with me, learning how to trust that instinct, that maybe I need to ask a few more questions of this person, or maybe I'm going to put up a bit of a boundary and not share so much with this person who hasn't been so honest with me. It's a really normal experience though, especially being a young teenager. So as you're growing up and especially going into high school, those early years of year 7 and 8, looking after yourself and making sure that you get some support if you're finding that those fake friends or people lying is really getting you down, really having an impact on your sense of self, how you feel about yourself. So that's where coming into Headspace or talking to someone at your school who you trust. That might be a really special teacher, that might be a school nurse, school counsellor. So it's finding somebody that you can share that with in your school, or if you can't do that, then coming into Headspace to have a bit of a chat about those relationships.
Just looking at some of the comments coming up now through all of this as well, and everything that people are commenting on around numbers of friends and feeling like maybe they don't have many friends or only a small number of friends, that's normal too. One of the things we know as we move from being a younger kid, sort of 5 to 10 years of age, through into 10 to 13 and then into teenage years, is that it's actually normal for our group of friends to get a little bit smaller for the people we call our really close friends. And it's really important not to think of that as a bad thing. It's just a thing, and it's kind of a normal thing. I guess it's good to know also that your really close friends will share with you as much as you share with them. And sometimes we know that in the online space, lots of people will have people who are their friends, but it's always a one-way street. So a good way of knowing whether your friends are real friends is also whether they're prepared to do things like share photos with you and video chat. You know, people can fake photos. It's hard to fake video chat. So if someone's sort of making excuses all the time for the things they can't do, that's a time to think about, well, maybe is this where I put energy in? Or if I'm going to put energy into a friendship, how much do I get back from it? And how good does it make me feel? And that's a good way of evaluating who your real friends are.
We have a really good question on our Q&A. How are you linked to the app Headspace, so the Headspace app?
Yeah, excellent question. We get this quite a bit actually, especially in schools when we talk about, seeking help and what do you know of. So the app Headspace is a British one and it's about mindfulness, and it's also a paid app. So like we said before, with Headspace services, you'll never have to pay anything. So the Headspace app that's got a little orange icon is not connected in any way to Headspace Australia, which has a lovely green icon. So it's a really common mistake, and we wish that international copyright laws were better, but it is not connected to us.
Okay, I'll go to Nairi H. You are unmuted. You might need to unmute yourself. There you go, Nairi.
Yeah.
Hello, Nairi.
Hello. So I'm just wondering, how many teenagers in Australia commit suicide each year, and how do you feel about that?
Do you have a number answer?
The number I know that the most recent stat that comes to mind is 3,000 people, not just young people, died by suicide in 2018. We know that it is the biggest cause of death for young people, more than car accidents, more than any other illness. The biggest cause of death for young people. In Western Australia, the number of people who suicide is bigger than the road toll. Sometimes though, young people who die from suicide, maybe that wasn't necessarily their intention as well. We know sometimes mistakes happen. How do I feel about that? It's exactly what Evie's just popped up there. It's really sad. It's really sad to know that we as a service like Headspace and all the other services that work alongside us, all the other people who are here to help, that we can't reach out to those people, or that we were there and would be able to help if they felt they were able to approach someone, is really sad. Ultimately though, we know that sometimes one of the things that people feel at the point of thinking about suicide is a feeling of isolation and aloneness and disconnection from their community, whether that's family, whether it's a community like guides, whether it's a community like their class or their sports club or the place where they work if they're a bit older. And that's why it's really important that we as groups reach out to each other and, you know, check in on each other and offer our support to each other. I'm just going to flow on to the next question, which is one that's been popped up from Penny in chat, which is what's the most common reason to suicide? And that is a really hard question to answer because there actually probably isn't a most common reason. Because we know that in lots of areas of health, if there are things that are in common as causes for something, we can do something about that cause. You know, we know that one of the most common reasons that people have heart attacks is because they smoke. So we can address trying to help people realise the health impacts of smoking and stop smoking. But often suicide is a really individual choice, and we know that there are people who suicide who are you know, if you were to look at their lives, they seem connected, they seem okay, but there's stuff going on inside, so it's a really hard one to answer.
Shall we go to another live one? Jasmine K, you may need to unmute yourself, but you can talk now.
So for the like when you can go in and talk to someone, how much are there?
How many?
Yeah.
How many people like come into a centre, or
Yeah.
how many? Yeah. So here in Albany, we see how many young people each year?
We see about 600 young people a year. So that's about 10% of the young people in Albany that we see every year. Around Australia, it's something closer to 200,000 odd a year that get seen. But we also know that the most common number of contacts that people have is just one. It's coming in to get help. Also can seem overwhelming because it might feel like it's huge, but sometimes
Are there some in like Perth?
Yes, there are in Perth. There are. So maybe I can just quickly share the screen again, and we'll get that. I didn't click the website up, but we know there are some in Perth. There are some up in the northwest, and for people who aren't near a centre, there's Headspace online as well. I'm just stopping talking because I'm finding it hard to type at the same time. But if I go back here and share our screen, and there we go. Get these windows out of the way. So this is the map of where centres are in Australia. And if we zoom in on Western Australia, there's us down the bottom there. One in Kalgoorlie. This map needs updating because there's also one, Bunbury. There's also a little one in Margaret River and Busselton as well now. Going up, Mandurah, Rockingham, Armidale, Fremantle, and up into Joondalup, Osborne Park, Midland, and then Geraldton and Northwest, Pilbara. There's a few around in WA. We were the first one though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No worries.
Would you like to tell us anything else? Because I'm not sure if I cut you off before, if you had other information to share, or if you've got time for a couple more Q&As. How are you going for time?
Yeah, we've got time for a couple more. It's 5:53 now. We're happy to go up until 6 if that's all right.
Yep, that's fine. Yep. So girls, if just in case you're worried that you're not going to get your answers tonight, are you happy for us to take and send any on to you that aren't necessarily going to get to answer them tonight?
Yeah.
Yep. So girls, if you don't get unmuted in the next few minutes, please type your answers in Q&A and we will send them on to Andrew and Natalie, and they will answer them to the best of their ability, I'm sure. Thanks.
Andrew and Natalie, Lily has her hand up and she's also typed her question into the chat. How many people in WA under the age of 18 have been diagnosed with anxiety or depression?
Yeah. Is that the same question as you had in Q&A, Lily?
Hang on, I'll allow her to talk.
Oh.
Lily, hi Lily, how are you?
I'm good.
Is that your cat?
Yeah, it's my
Cool.
cat. His name is Biscuit.
Hey,
Biscuit. Cool.
Is that your question? Sorry.
That is my question, but I also want to add something to my question once they've answered it.
Yeah. The exact number is hard to say, but we know that approximately 1 in 4 young people will have anxiety or depression at any time. It's really common. It's also really common that people don't talk about it too, which is a real shame because that makes people sort of feel like they're alone and that no one else has been through what they've been through, but that's not the case. So we also know that most people get better from it.
Can we just lead on with what is anxiety? Because we've had a couple of those just pop up.
Sure. Anxiety is a word that we health professionals use too much and forget to explain it, so thanks for that question. It is like all of us get feelings of being a little bit scared maybe, or the feelings like you have before a test at school, or if you're involved in sport, maybe before a game, the feeling like you're feeling a little bit sick or maybe a little bit tense about something, a little bit nervous. Sometimes it gets called nerves, butterflies in your stomach, those sorts of things, maybe a little bit sweaty, a little bit jumpy and can't settle down. That becomes anxiety when it interferes with how you want to live your day-to-day life. When it gets to the point where it dominates how you feel, where it gets to the point where people actually feel like they don't want to go out, or they feel like they're concerned that they can't breathe, or that they might have a heart attack, or that they feel really sick, or that they feel too scared to talk to other people, so they don't. Some people, that's a feeling like they're too scared to leave the house or to go to school. And so where those feelings of stress or anxiety, or social anxiety, as someone said, the anxiety of being around other people, are so bad that you can't overcome them yourself, and that they start to dominate your life instead of you being able to get on top of it.
My mum has, my mum's scared of being like out in public, and I've also, I think it was last year, got diagnosed with both anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm. And are you
Thank you,
help for
Lily.
those, Lily?
Lily, are you getting help for those?
Yeah, I've counselling sometimes down at Anglica WA.
Cool. Excellent. They're another
That's
good
awesome.
service as well.
Yeah,
So I hope that helps for you. And the great thing about counselling also is that you can learn skills to help you manage those feelings throughout your life, because sometimes they go away and they come back at different times.
Thank you, Lily. Thank you for sharing that.
Tigerlily, have we got one last participant, please?
We have a couple of written questions, and we have Nairi again, who I think got to ask a question before.
Mm-hmm. Should we go over the written ones then?
Yeah, okay. Actually, they're both regarding suicide. So, do some people commit suicide because of stress? And the other one is, what do you do if your friend sometimes feels like they want to suicide themselves? So is it stress, and what do you do if someone says they want to commit suicide to you?
Yeah, sure. It's unusual for someone to, I guess, feel to suicide because of stress alone. Sometimes stress might be the one thing that adds on to a picture of a whole heap of other stuff going on in life that might be the one thing that means someone changes their mind. And I'm sorry, what was the other question? It was again about suicide.
Is it stress? Is it stress related?
Yeah, not so much, and there's not really a reason. But what do you do if your friend feels like they want to suicide? I guess the first thing is to listen, to not be afraid, although it's really common and normal to feel like this is really huge and really scary and feel overwhelmed. It's really important to promise not to keep it a secret, and really important to say, can I help you get help from someone? Because I really care about you and I want you to be around. Yeah.
And every time, that you'll experience, somebody saying something that's a bit shocking or a bit scary, whether it's suicide or other things, it's really important to believe that person. And we don't take any of that lightly or not seriously at Headspace. And you'll find that too in your schools as well, that if a friend or if another student is saying that they feel like suicide is what they want to do, then you always take that person very seriously and get them connected to an adult who can help them out, because as a kid, you're kind of a bit limited. You can't drive a car, you can't take them anywhere, so you need to be able to find an adult who can help.
And you shouldn't feel like you're the expert who can answer all those questions for them. And also don't, if they say, this is how I'm feeling and I want you to keep it a secret, it's really important you don't agree. That doesn't help either. But ultimately, the stuff you're doing by being a part of guides, by looking out for each other, as I can see through the chat, and by having fun, are all really good things that you can do to stay mentally well and stay mentally healthy. And it's really important with talks about mental health that we remember there are lots of things that we can do to stay mentally well. It's important to practice those in the same way as we do with physical fitness. And that ultimately, for most people, mental health issues are just a small part of their life and they don't dominate their entire life. But there is effective help available, and by being a part of something bigger than just you, like guides, then that's a really positive thing you can do for your mental health. So well done, all of you.
And thank you very much to Natalie and Andrew for being here and giving up their time tonight. We know, you know, you've got busy lives too, so we do appreciate it. From everyone here, Girl Guides WA, we hope you've enjoyed spending a little bit of time with us and imparting some of your knowledge.
Thanks everyone for the awesome questions too.
Yeah, we will. I will ask the girls one more time before we leave if they've got anything to type into Q&A, and I think we did really well and got through them all, but just in case of a burning question, we'll forward it on. Yeah, again, thank you very, very much, and we will post your details, your website and everything online for the girls so that they have access and know where to go.
And I just want to go, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's the way we do it in guides.
Thank you. You're welcome to stay with us as we close up or leave if you wish. Thank you.
We'll head off into our busy life.
Lovely.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us and your awesome questions.
So, girls, that concludes our panel for tonight. If you do have any burning questions that you didn't get a chance to get answered during tonight's panel, please, in the next few moments, type them into the Q&A. If you type them in chat, we won't see them, but if you type them into Q&A and maybe put in brackets who you'd like them to go to, if it's Headspace or Colin, or maybe both. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed tonight. I learned a lot. I'm not sure about Tigerlily.
I certainly did. I learnt a lot and it was very informative. I enjoyed it. So just before we go, are we putting happy thoughts in our jars?
We are. So that's what I was going to say. So getting back, just in case any of you girls came in a little bit late, we ended up with, I've forgotten my jar, but we ended up with, hopefully you've got a jar or a box or a make-believe jar, just like mine. Can you see it? Okay, so you were asked to rip a piece of paper from the sheet of paper you have, or scissors if you would like to cut it. And on that piece of paper, you're going to write something great that happened today. Might be something that happened to you. Might be something that you did for something else. And you're going to write it on that piece of paper. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes for... It takes me a little while. Okay, so mine, there's mine. You probably can't read it, but it says, I went to Girl Guides online. Yay, it means I got to share stuff with all my sisters around the world. So the really cool thing you can do with this is you can screw it up and put it in a jar. You can fold it up. There you go. I'm going to wrap mine around my pen, make it nice and tight.
And I'm just going to fold mine.
And once you've done that, you're going to pop it in your jar. Are you ready? Mine's going to go straight through. There we go.
Mine's gone in my little tin.
So the idea is that you put all them little thoughts together of great things that have happened in your life or that you've done. And when you're not feeling so great, like lots of you said, when you're feeling sad or you're not having a great day, you can pull one of them thoughts out of your jar, open it up, and hopefully it makes you feel a little bit happier about how your day's been. You can also do these jars and give them to your friends as gifts. They make really nice gifts, particularly if you use lots of pretty coloured paper, lots of different colours. So hopefully you girls can have a bit of fun with that. We do realise we ran over time. We are sorry, but we hope you enjoyed our panellists. That's it from Tigerlily and I tonight. We are going to finish with links and taps. So follow along with your jazz hands, and we will see you all same time, same place next week. Day's done, gone the sun, from the seas, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest, guide, good night. Good night, girls, see you next week. On the link of each,
on the strength of each link in the cable depends on the might of the chain.
Who knows when you'll be tested?
So live that you bear the strain.
All right, go guys of Australia. Dismissed. See you next week. Bye.